What is up, plebs? Back with another Nades video. Considering the uh, last one went pretty well, and the demand for another one was actually pretty high. Mirage won the poll on Twitter, and also had a few people actually DM me as well on Twitter about doing one for Mirage, which is surprising considering how common it is in the map pool. Kind of thought that everybody would know all the necessary shit for Mirage, but apparently not. Also, my audio quality's changed. I'm using Audacity now instead of Shadowplay because that Shadowplay quality yesterday was fucking garbage. But anyway, enough of that shit. Straight into the nades. Top of this bin from T-Spawn, and the top right of this antenna is a top mid smoke. And at the same time, you can go into this left-hand corner and aim at the top antenna there, and left click. That one goes a bit more shallow, and I definitely recommend the bin one. But if you're doing a fast A hit or something like that, and you've been throwing a top mid smoke for your default every single round, then what better way to do it than an angle that's about 10 steps closer to A? Because why not? Moving over towards B, starting with the closest from TV room, where the concrete hits the sand. You want to be in the middle of this dividing line between the horizontal concrete strip there. And if you stand up, you can see the wall is brown and then it turns to pink. If you want to be on that first fence post, it's one of the thinner ones and it's got all the floral shit on it, on the pink, and you want to go down to the second lowest horizontal electrical conduit that's running across the wall there, and you just want to jump through that smoke, and that is going to be your middle of sight smoke. And the benefit of this smoke is you can plant for short, or you can plant for MBK, or you can plant for even apps, I suppose, from here without being pushed. Like if somebody just leaps out a window or they can't even see you, plant for the outside window here. But the better part is they can't just run out a window and peek you by taking a slightly wider angle. The other two default B smokes are the two short pillars. So the left-hand one, from the T's perspective, is lining up this tallest piece of the corrugated iron there with the wall that runs straight down there. And you want to just give yourself a tiny little bit of a gap, maybe like halfway through, because you can be aiming where the horizontal and the vertical piece of the corrugated iron intersect. And you're just going to lift like that, and the purpose of the gap is so that the smoke doesn't clip the wall. And it's just going to center itself, bouncing off the corner. The second smoke is for the right hand short pillar, and you're going to run into the center of this door. And you're going to aim at the second wooden support for this concrete piece there, and just out far enough so that the smoke's not going to clip the concrete. And then you're going to left click that, and it's going to bounce off the skybox, and that is your right hand short pillar smoke. Provided you toss those two smokes and you get into B, if you go to this corner against the barrel closest to the wall, not this close one because you can't see fucking shit, but this one right here, and you can see this line that sort of crosses the wall there. If you just want to aim in the middle of that and up a little bit, depending on your crosshair, I'm just using my crosshair to line that up, but if you left click that, that is going to bounce off the wall and straight into shop hallway. So they can't push you. You can use that other post plan, or even as you're running into sight, just to stop the rotates, especially if that middle of side smokes down. The only avenue they really have to get out of from that point is out of window, unless they want to be pushing that shop hallway smoke. So those are your three default smokes for B, and one after you've entered the site. So you've seen your two top mid smokes. Moving over to actual mid, the obvious one is window. A lot of people toss this smoke, but I fucking hate it, because depending on how the smoke fluctuates and depending on how the person throws it, whether they throw it whilst they're still standing up from their crouch or not, but it leaves this huge gap that can be abused as people enter mid-con. In fact, if you actually get close, you can see all the way up into top mid. The gun will be sticking out, but you know, 99% of the time your teammates aren't going to be looking for a gun that's sticking out through the smoke there. So the better one to do is back against the wall, and you aim where the aerial and the top of this roof intersect, and you run forward. Now you have a lot of leeway with the smoke. You can run like halfway, you can run right up to the box, but the biggest thing is don't run too short. That's the only thing. So if you're on the edge of caution, run an extra step, because if you run too short, you're going to be, or you just try to do a step, or you're going to be tossing potato as fuck mid smokes. Short smoke, which lands, cuts off short for con play. Line up with the middle of this window. I essentially use this, you can see like the V shape that sort of comes in, and that would be the lowest point, but it's the next one up. So that's the one I use to essentially line myself up with the center of this window right here. And then if you use this corner, and I aim out a little bit, just using my crosshair. And the reason I aim to the left a little bit is because if you throw it a bit more to the right, the smoke flies a bit straighter, and as a result bounces harder off this wall, and it can actually bounce real right-sided and actually give a gap here that can be abused for players that are either running up onto shore to try and jump into window, or even they can push up halfway through the smoke, and because the gap's there, they'll be able to see you entering con. Con smokes. So obviously there's normal ones. You can just, I don't know, you can smoke off the wall there and it'll land on the platform for the stairs. Be pretty shit. But if you have a player on underpass, they can come up. And essentially, obviously, the walls behind that smoke. Actually, I'll toss my other one just so you guys can see first. So this one's best for top mid smoke. You need a bit of mid control to top this con smoke. So you essentially line up the wall with the edge of this window right here. So I'll show you with the top mid smoke down, just so you can see how to set it up and stuff like that, because it doesn't make it any more difficult, even with the that top mid smoke there. Once that's down, so you line up this wall with the edge of this window here. Be relatively precise if you can, and you can see the sticky up bit, the paint there, just a real small small fraction of it. And if you just go down, and then you get like this corner, this like top left corner almost, and you just want to jump throw, aiming at that, and that is going to bounce off the angle and give you a nice top of con smoke. The other one, as I was going to show before, is obviously from underpass. So if you were to, if you have a player go underpass and they just run throw, okay, aim a bit higher than that. Fuck me. That's going to be top of con smoke for you. So we've done top of con, window, and short. So that's all your like default mid smokes, I suppose. Would seriously recommend throwing this one if you throw this one. Would seriously recommend switching ASAP, because that gap is basically the Counter-Strike definition of AIDS. Moving over to A default smokes. So there's a number of ways you can actually toss all the smokes, or the smokes for A side. So the CT, you can toss CT from here if you line up straight with this fence and you aim at the bottom corner of this darkened section of the roof and you jump throw. That's a CT smoke. You can toss CT from here against this door. Some people use the middle of the door, but I use the right hand side. Use the right hand side, line up this door, and I aim at the bottom left corner of this darkened brick here and jump throw that, and that'll go for CT. For jungle, if you go to the second pillar in and you go and aiming directly down, lining up your crosshair where the vertical and this horizontal line connect, and you want to give yourself equal distance, so equal distance away from the pillar as you are up, and you just left click that smoke. Now bounce off stairs and bench wall, and it's a pretty centered jungle smoke as well, so you're not depending on how the smoke fluctuates, a little bit of a gap there, but fluctuates out a bit wider, and there won't be a gap there. Or you could just aim a little lower and that'll fix that gap up, because I just messed it up a little bit there. Stairs, 2 stairs smokes. So the default one's from here. Line up with the middle of this, I think, not the left hand or the right hand edge, but the middle. And you essentially aim where this flat edge of this corner here meets with this plank in the air. And you left click that, and that will fly and bounce off Tetris bricks for stairs. You can also smoke stairs. I do this one. If you have classic view models, you can do this. If you line up with this this sort of pillar here, and I put my thumb, the very tip of my nail of the thumb, on the right hand edge of this white paint for this brick, and the rest of my thumb goes inside this brick. So exactly like that, and left click. That's with classic view models, and that'll give you another stairs smoke if you're on the floor and not over towards spawn. If you manage to get out towards A, or your teammates come out and taken a bit of a peek and you know, cleared out stuff like this, or underbarks and mollied and nobody's come out from underneath or whatnot, you can toss CT smoke from here if you come up to the floor against the box there, and you aim at the top left hand of that window and you left click, that will smoke CT for you. And you can also smoke stairs from here as well. If you jump on this box instead and go right into the corner, you'll actually get knocked up like a centimeter or so, and you aim at this dot on the wall and you jump throw, and that'll actually smoke stairs for you. So interesting stairs smoke there as well for you. You can do triple and middle of sight as well. I only know one way for each of those. So for triple, if you run to the middle of this window, essentially where this dot is, but you line up the left hand edge of this ball with the right hand of that wooden plank and aim at the middle of the ball and then jump throw. And that is your triple smoke. And then for middle of sight, if you go onto the upper section of T-spawn here, and you line yourself up with this wall, and then you aim the middle of this, it's actually not like on this middle line here, but in the middle of like this section, and up to the roof there, essentially where they meet in the air. And you don't have to jump through that, you can just left click that. And that is your middle of sight smoke. So you can plant there or whatnot. The only Molotov I really know for this map, because there isn't many that are like lineups or anything like that, 99% of the time you can just run out and launch a Molotov wherever the fuck you want, because it's such an open map. But the main one is for Underbalk, so you can line up with this bottom ledge here, but the biggest problem 99% of the time is that this is smoked. And the lineup for that is if you walk right into this corner here, and you look at the top left of the brown, and then you just hold S and A until you hit the corner, and then you let go, and that Molotov will still go on the balcony and burn up. You just got to be wary of that corner though as well. So done CT. So some more slightly interesting smokes. You can actually smoke window and connector from B-apps here. So if there's like a sloped part here, if you walk right into the corner, and you look at this fucked up section of paint and just out from the wall enough, essentially, so you're throwing in like a straight line. You don't want to be throwing in an angle in any sort of way. You're throwing a straight line, and that actually bounces off the floor. It's not the best con smoke, but you can use it to sell a fake. Or like fake that you have a lot of mid control. If you have like 4 players in B apps, you know, you can smoke that and then have like one person smoke window, and it looks like you've used 2 smokes in mid. But the other one is for window, and this one's actually really precise, but the perfect crosshair size for it with outline is 10.5. So if you actually walk right up, just so you can see no more orange on this window here, and you aim the very right hand edge of that crosshair just up with where the shadow starts here, but that bottom left hand corner where that shadow starts, right there, and that'll fly straight into window. So you can sell easy fakes that way. So moving on to flashes now, I suppose. Choose my button to fix my crosshair. There isn't many, but there is some interesting ones, I suppose, that I've sort of had to think about. So the normal one for B, if you're just running, you can see like this line where like the paint's gone to shit, I suppose, on the wall. And if you just run and throw a flashbang at that, it'll bounce straight out the window for B site. And the good thing about this is it bounces just far out enough so that if somebody's playing this angle here or the opposite angle, it will still blind them. That's kind of the only interesting smoke flash would be. Otherwise, people are just running out and throwing flashes fucking left, right, center, or over the top. For mid, you can throw a top mid flash that blinds the line from window. So that if somebody's, what the fuck am I doing? If somebody's holding this line here, it'll pop just out in the open. So to do that, you walk right into this corner here, where this sort of like weird section of the wall sticks out, and there's like a corner there that you can lock yourself into. And you aim at the top left hand corner of this roof here, and just left click that, and that pops just past the wall. So if somebody's holding this line, they'll get blinded by that flash for window. Connector smokes, flashes, sorry. So you walk right into this first box, you can toss 2. If you see these 2 white dots, you can toss it either or anywhere around that general area, and they will both flash con. But the thing is, from a CT perspective, they're very right-sided. So they'll pop here, so they'll blind somebody, you know, playing like this angle, or even up here. And left side as well. But the thing is, a lot of people actually play this boxed area in con. And even if they're back against the wall, I mean, the more common angle is right up against because you can see closer. But even back against the wall, those flashes are useless to this position. So I actually figured out a flash for that angle. If you go to this sort of vertical line where it meets the horizontal concrete there, where they intersect, and you want to look, you can see the white, the red, and the wooden section of the wall. And you just want to aim on that corner there and just left click a flash. And this flash pops, doesn't actually look like it hits much, but it just pops past the wall. So if somebody's hugging this or right back against the wall, it's gonna blind them, like properly. So it's not gonna be a shit flash. There's obviously the pop flash out of Palace that a lot of people toss, so where this line on the second row of tiles in Palace, where the vertical meets the horizontal line again, and you can see this line that comes out where like the paint cracked or something, just that left hand edge and just left like that, and that's going to pop just out of Palace. You can flash window if you're playing CT side multiple ways. I'd toss this one normally. If you aim at this section of the wall, like this broken section of the wall, and you walk through, actually bounce off the wall and pops within the window. You can also walk right into this corner here and aim at the black dot and throw, and it will bounce onto the ledge and pop in window. And if you're stuck right side window, you can stand up or you can crouch and throw at that little dot there that's just off to the left of the bricks there. And if you're CT side as well and your teammate wants to peek underpass or they're pushing unders or something like that, if you line yourself up with the right hand edge of this desk and there's this real thick like cement line there in between the bricks, so there or like anywhere relatively below that will pop flash underpass for you, so that you can either jump out and peek with that, or your teammates can be like hugging this wall because it's going to pop past them. They can peek with that, peek underpass. Not like I just did, that was retarded. If you're a T, going up short, or if you're a CT even, and your teammates called that they're coming out of B apps and they're flooding B site, if you line up this section of the light just as it touches the wall, and then you aim down to where the pole that actually holds the light up against the wall there, and that actually just bounces over and flashes short for you. Some interesting stuff that I found whilst I was fucking around before. If the T's are planted for con or jungle, so on the other side of this box here, and let's say you've molly gatebox or something like that, or this, you just know all this shit's clear, so provided this shit's clear, if you walk right into this corner and you aim, you can see like there's a section of paint here where it looks like there's no division between the bricks, it's just like one line that goes up. If you aim at the top of that line and you jump throw, so you bounce off the skybox off the roof and it perfectly smokes that that bomb essentially, so you can run in, sit and try smoke defuse. Scratch my eye, Jesus. And yeah, that's basically all the juicy stuff for Mirage that I'm aware of. Obviously you can jump from this onto here as well. You don't just have to be able to jump out a window, but I would recommend practicing that, otherwise you're going to sit there for like 10 tries. And if you're going to do this jump as well, I'd recommend practicing it too, because you don't want to jump out and just drop into mid when all these T's are fucking flooding out. I'm not sure if people are aware you can actually boost over this thing. You have the CT here, teammate here, sorry, as T side, you can actually boost over the top of this. And yeah, that's all the relatively necessary stuff you need to know for sure. The only other thing that I can think of, which is pretty dumb, but flashes for short. If you get locked in this angle, there's angles on this map, a lot of angles that can be abused. So for example, this one, not really, I suppose, it's pretty dumb, but if you like walk through a flash at this wall, this angle actually works. So like the flash is going to bounce off and pop flash short. So you could essentially flash here and then just run straight with it, and then it flashes and then you can peek from sight, and that flash is going to blind over short. One that I throw as well, don't know how this is going to go on 1920, but there's an angle on this wall here, so if I'm running in from CT spawn, I actually throw and the flash bounces, as you can see, up here and blinds all that ruckus there. So you can actually utilize all the small angles on walls. You can actually utilize them to your advantage if you want to. But other than that, this is Mirage. These are my nades. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can. If you want to be a swag dragon, like the Twitch stream as well. If you don't follow me on Twitch, do it. If you don't follow me on Twitter, do it. Links in the description for this video. And I'll probably put up another Twitter poll for what map I should do next, because I don't know, Cobble and Nuke, I got some fucking real interesting shit that I guarantee like heaps of people won't even fucking have any idea of even existed. But until then, later bitches.